Welcome to this small group leader training session. Thanks for signing on to lead a sermon-based small group for at least a semester. At Community Christian, we hold you guys in high regard, and we really appreciate you for helping us accomplish the second half of our mission. Because of small group leaders like you, I know this is going to be a year when our church just makes significant strides in together growing to full devotion to Jesus. So let's begin. Now in this session, I'm going to give you some basic guidance on how to conduct a small group meeting. Throughout the semester, we're going to be providing you with ongoing training and the support of a team leader. But this will give you at least what you need to get started. If you haven't already printed out the viewer's guide that goes along with this training session, I want you to pause the video right now and do that, and then fill in the blanks as you watch and hold on to that information for your future reference. Your team leader is also going to be getting with you about all of this information. Now the first thing you need to do to conduct a small group meeting is you got to prepare. Since the group time will focus on some aspect of the previous Sunday message, it's important you hear it. So if you're ever unable to attend a Sunday service, don't worry. You can go to the church website, community-christian.net, and click on the Resources tab, and you can watch and listen to any of the Sunday messages. Another part of your preparation will be to complete the study guide related to the week's message. You'll find this study guide inserted in your Sunday bulletin. Like the video or audio of Sunday's message, this study guide will also be available on the resource page of the church website. Small group members will also be expected to complete that and bring it with them to the meeting. That guide and the meeting will focus on particular aspects of the message in a way that differs from the Sunday teaching. Once you've completed the study questions, select which ones you're going to have your group discuss. We'll intentionally try to supply more questions than groups can get through, so don't feel obligated to get through every question or even do them in the order that they appear. As you make your selections, however, do keep this in mind. The study guide will always consist of three types of questions: getting to know me questions, into the Bible questions, and application questions. Also, one of the questions will always be something similar to, what did you find most challenging, helpful, or troubling about Sunday's message? Now that's designed to allow discussion of anything that was not included in your study guide. The questions will seldom be labeled like that, but they'll each serve one of those purposes and are designed to promote overall relational and spiritual help in your group. Lastly, view the DVD lesson that will be played at the meeting. Now this is going to serve as a source of information and it'll guide your study and discussion. Okay, now that you've prepared, it's time for your meeting. Now typically meetings last about 90 minutes. And there are exceptions, of course, when circumstances or group members call for that time to be shortened or maybe even extended. But it's important to discuss time issues in the group and come to a consensus regarding start and finish times. You need to be rigid or maybe even flexible with those times. In most group meetings, there are several common elements that are usually present. The first one is refreshments. And groups run the gamut from having no refreshments to light refreshments or drinks or full-blown meals. And that really is up to you and your group. But keep in mind, however, refreshments are really a great complement for small talk and catching up on each other's lives. Plus, they provide a kind of social comfort when the moments are kind of slow. Whether you have refreshments or not, just be sure to always create a welcoming environment. People walking into groups come with all kinds of reservations, so this is real important. Now another element of your small group meeting is sharing. Now this may have begun during the refreshment time, but most groups choose to devote a specific part of the meeting to just sharing prayer requests, updating one another on what's been going on in their lives, things like that. Now as your group gels, this part of the meeting tends to expand and move to a deeper level. Don't underestimate the power of your example by leading the way with some appropriate honesty and transparency in the group. And remind your group members to honor those who share information by keeping that information confidential and within the group. Okay, next part of your meeting is dedicated to study and discussion. This is when you play the DVD that guides you through this portion. Now usually the DVD teacher will begin and he'll cycle through one of 5 questions that they don't appear in your study guide. Now we call these the 5G questions, and each one of them deals with an area that you ought to be developing in the life of any Christ follower: grace, growth, groups, gifts, and giving. The questions will be phrased in a manner that lends to the group holding each other accountable or in exerting effort in each of those areas. This will be followed by a brief teaching related to the study guide, and then the video teacher is going to transition back to you to lead in discussing the questions you selected ahead of time. Real quickly, let me give you a coaching tip about playing the DVD in your group. I've led small groups, I've been in small groups before, and we've used the DVD curriculum, and I've experienced times when the group will, let's say, get distracted by what's going on in the video. They'll laugh at something, they'll make a funny comment. All of that is to be expected. It's no big deal. But I want to ask you to do something when that happens. Since the video teaching is so brief, it's very likely that if your group starts laughing, they'll miss an important piece, or they get distracted and they won't see what happens in the video. So without being crabby or some kind of a prude, I just want you to say something like, hey, okay guys, let's make sure we don't miss what's in the video, and then just rewind it to the point where the distraction happened. Now, if interruptions become a regular occurrence, you might want to deal with that specifically in your group, but I'm guessing that won't be a problem as long as you handle that appropriately. To improve the quality of the discussion, I want you to continue to encourage group members to come with their answers to the study questions filled out. And an effective way to do this is just to periodically ask group members, hey, read what you've written down on the paper. Now, the advantages of having them completed in advance is, number one, nobody's ever forced to have to think on their feet. Number two, it helps prevent stronger personalities from dominating the meeting. And number three, it undercuts the natural tendency for the first response to just sort of set the tone for everybody else. Now, the final group element is prayer. Now, this may look very different in various groups, but one helpful suggestion is to ask participants to use sentence prayers, where one person will pray for just one thing at a time. This will shut down the whole long-winded dominating prayer guy, and it allows the new or inexperienced person to pray more easily if they choose to do that. Well, guys, that's an overview of the kind of elements we're going to present in a typical small group meeting. Hopefully it doesn't seem complicated, because it's really not. And there's really a lot of room for you to be free and flexible in all of this. Your group, for example, may choose to regularly participate in service projects or do group socials, in which case you would need to devote some time in your meeting to planning those. Just keep in mind the basic things that we're trying to accomplish in sermon-based small groups, which we'll just use as a way to recap what we've just talked about. If we do these four things, we know that we're winning at small group leading. Number one, we're helping God-honoring relationships form where group members care for each other's needs. Number two, we're helping each other take spiritual next steps. Some might be big, others are small. Some we see clearly, some the group may need to help us see. Number three, we expose group members to biblical truth related to our Sunday message. And four, we hold each other accountable to exert effort in the 5 G's to grow as a Christ follower. So thanks for your time and attention and for helping Community Christian become more fully devoted to Jesus. I hope all of you have a great small group season.